welcome to this very trippy story I'm about to tell you. I was really excited. I've been waiting a long time to do this one on video because it absolutely trips me out. So I'm really happy to be telling it now. So this is one of those stories where really the mysticism of all of it happens, and I don't understand any of it. I just know that this stuff occurs, and I have a multitude of stories that are like this, that eventually I'll get to sharing, but this is one of my favorites. So I've been practicing Reiki for a long time, and I had been doing mediumship for a few years up to the practice of Reiki. And so one day I have a client come to me. Now, I've never met her before. Tiny little white woman gets on my table, put my hands in behind her head, and I'm there for just a moment, and my table is kind of situated against a wall. Maybe there's about a foot between the bed and the wall. And so I've got my hands underneath her head, and suddenly through the wall comes these 5 Navajo dancers. They move in behind me and around the bed. I'm not kidding. And I'm like, what is happening? And I can hear them chanting and singing and the way that they're dancing around the bed. And I just thought, okay, just relax and you'll come to understand what's going on. And all of a sudden, this one main male comes up in front of me, and he lays a blanket down over top of her. So it goes like from her chest down over her feet. And he turns to me and he says, "You do not go below the blanket." And I'm thinking, okay, number one, I don't usually take instructions from spirit like that, but I'm really curious about what's going on. And so I thought, all right, well, I'm doing Reiki, and in the practice of Reiki, you're kind of moving from the head, down the body to the feet. And I'm thinking, well, this vision or this experience will probably pass by the time I'm finished with her head. I'll get around to her shoulder, and this will have, moved itself on, and I'll be able to continue. So I feel the point at which I'm finished with her head, and I move around to the side of her to place my hands on her shoulders, and he comes right back to me and he says, "I said do not go below the blanket." And I was like, then what? And he says, "One hand on her chest, one to the sun." And I was like, you have to be kidding me, I'm thinking. So I pause for a moment going, Deborah, are you really going to do this? Or are you just going to follow your your Reiki plan? And so I thought, well, there was so much power in the room, and the others were still dancing, and clearly something was going on. So I thought, okay, Deborah, just go with what's occurring. So I put my hand up on the high heart, on the upper part of her chest, and I put my other hand to the sky. And for at least 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, I stood there like that. My arm was aching, but there was this feeling like I just could not stop. Like I had to stay in that position. And so finally there was this feeling of like release, of let go. And I was like, okay, I think it's over. And so I kind of brought her back around and, sat her up on the bed and gave her a glass of water. And I said, "Listen, I'm sorry, but this is not normally a Reiki session. This isn't how it goes. So do you have some kind of Aboriginal background or, And number one, I don't even know how I knew it was Navajo. It was just, one of those knowings. Do you know what I mean? I believe Navajo is more in the US than the western part of Canada where I am. So it didn't even sort of make sense that I was hearing this Navajo. Anyway, so she says no. And so I said, well, look, this is what happened. And I explained to her, and she says, well, that's odd because I didn't feel anything from my neck up, but she said from her chest down, she just kept feeling waves and waves of energy. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what that was, but, we just have to accept it. And so that was fine. She went on her way, and I thought, well, that's, an experience and a half. It was a week later. A friend of mine who was opening up a college for metaphysical kind of work, she was having a demonstration table at this big event. And she asked if I would man the booth while she went and took a break. And I said, yeah, not a problem. So, she had all kinds of things out, but, information on the college and that kind of thing. Well, as I'm sitting there, a woman comes around the corner that I've never met before. And she's got this big duffel bag with her, and she sets it down on the chair. She's quite a ways from me. And she looks up at me and she says, my friend said I could come and sell some of my stuff here at her table. And I said, okay, I'm not sure who you are. And so she opens up the bag and she starts taking stuff out, and then she looks up at me, and then she looks back down in her bag again. And then she looks up at me and she says, listen, before I came, when I was getting things ready, she says, Spirit told me that I was supposed to bring this for the person who's behind the counter, and you're the person who's behind the counter, and so here, it's from the Navajo people. Are you freaking kidding me? Isn't that nuts? She holds out this pot and she goes, it's from the Navajo people for the person who's standing behind the counter. Oh my God, look at that. So I was immediately tears. I mean, my body was shaking. Incredible. This is supposedly a pot that you would, speak your cares or your concerns to Spirit in, to give them to Spirit. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? What an incredible validation. I don't know what was happening, but now I do know that the Navajo people were there, and for whatever reason, they needed to do their work around that woman, and whatever it was that she was feeling from the chest down was between her and them. Isn't that trippy? Turns out the woman that had the duffel bag full of stuff that was coming to sell it, I got a good price. Who was coming to sell it was a medium that I know much better now. But yeah, fantastic story, hey? So we're constantly surrounded by the mystery and the mystical, and I absolutely love it. I look forward to sharing more soon. Okay, bye.